going to call the Park and Recreations Commission meeting to order, Monday, March 5th at 6:35 p.m. Public forum. I do have a visitor, but you're going to wait. Yes, okay. Can I get a motion to move new business item A, the Eagle Scout project, up so that we can do that right now?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we've moved up for you, come on.
I don't know the appropriate stuff.
Put a chair?
Just grab a chair and put it right near the microphone over there. Pretty easy.
Now, when you go to the microphone, you have to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
We're not gonna make it easy for you.
You like hold it for a minute? I need to help you. Yeah.
I'll hold it for you.
Just spin it so that
Oh, there we go.
at home can see it too.
There you go.
Everybody see it? There we go.
Well, we'd like the people at home to see it too.
Do you want to back it up?
Put it maybe on that side, maybe?
That's okay, you know what, it's fine, just relax.
Yeah.
It's all good,
Oh, yeah.
we're all good. Actually, it looks very nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
I like
Wow,
Expansion, okay?
they're good. No, they can move over after to see.
So I would like to add an additional 8 spots to the Nutland Dog Park. This would be towards the entrance side of it. There's a patch of grass and small shrubs that can easily be cleared. And it'll be about 1,600 cubic feet of dirt that will need to be removed and put in with. At first, we'd be using to remove the dirt a box blade to start to break it up, make it a lot easier to dig out. And in the troop that I go to, there's enough manpower to actually take out the dirt with shovels, and we'll be able to use a backhoe to scoop it out and make it a lot more efficient. And for the actual layers, we would start with at the bottom when it's all removed, 2-inch stone, about 9 inches of that, so there's a stable, flat base where, again, it's supported well. And then we'll have 3 inches of processed stone. And after all the stone is placed, we'll be raking on top to make it flat and very nice. And for doing that, we'll be using shovels and wheelbarrows to be able to do that. And the stone, we're getting it from Tilcon, and it's going to cost about, in total, it should cost around $2,100 or $2,100 to $2,200 for $1,500 to about $1,600 for the 2-inch stone, and then it would be about $600 for the 3 inches of processed stone. We'll have enough manpower, and it'll be a very safe project that I want to split up into 3 sections, and we'll make sure that the machine is actually far enough away from the other scouts, clearing it out, because it's only able to do a certain amount. It's not going to get to the perfect measurements that I'd like it to be. So we'd have 3 sections with the backhoe on one side, a middle area for spacing between, and the scouts on the side digging. But then when the machine's done in this one area, we'll switch over, and they'll make it a lot more smoother, a lot nicer, make it almost ready to actually put stones in. And then by that time, I think the other side will be done. We'll have to work in the middle where the scouts they'll probably have a good break, but it should work out. So then by the time it's done, we'll go back to actually working, clear it out, make it all nice, and then put the stones back in using wheelbarrows and shovels. For the tools, they're all right here. We have rake, shovels, box blade, wheelbarrows, backhoe, small tractor, pickaxes to break it up even more, edge clippers because there's a lot of shrubs and bushes, as you can see, like here, this is a few. And the shrubs we'll be able to clear. We'll be able to actually take them with our trucks to the stump dump, which is nearby, and it works out there on Saturdays.
Yep.
But the dirt, we'll be able to put in a designated area and be removed. But yeah, and then here you can see like before and after where it would actually create. It won't actually make it won't hurt the entrance, because we were able to leave while it's still being made, so.
Okay.
I prefer to have it done around May 19th and 20th.
Okay.
I'll do 5 to 6 hours on each day,
Okay.
which this allows the soil to be a little bit broken up, a little bit wet, but still in really good conditions in which we can actually take it out.
Mhm.
And during that time, if, during that overtime period, if people are going to the dog park, it's not gonna affect the entrance, we'll have caution tape set up, so people know the hazard. And during the other side of the parking lot, shouldn't affect it either.
So is the other side of the parking lot more towards the Dome Avenue?
Yeah, it's more towards the Dome Avenue.
So it's the entrance, when you're driving into
You're
to
taking
Nut
a
Plains,
left?
the dog park's on the right, this is just on the left. So it's as you're driving in, it's,
So then
Right on the
the
left.
cars will come in facing out Nut Plains?
How many spaces again, remind me?
Approximately 8,
Eight.
it's 20 by 60.
Okay.
Michael met with Jim Porley, and I met out there with him, and Jim kind of helped lay it out, so the town engineer was involved, and kind of helped make recommendations of how deep he should go, and kind of stone and everything.
And this will sort of match what's already there. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be. Do we have to do anything?
Yeah, on here, I don't know, good question.
We're expanding a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have to?
I would like to be able to, with the actual dirt, the trucks that we have actually can't support it. We
Mhm.
can make an area in the woods, right behind it or right near it, that it would be nice if you guys remove it, because our trucks are not the greatest at that. But it's
Yeah.
possible.
We could do that.
What I told him, if he left a pile, we can, whenever we're loaded,
We
we
can go there
can,
and
we can
get
get
it
it
out,
out of
yeah.
there.
Okay.
Because it is a parking lot expansion, do we need to go to rec?
That's-
I
That's
mean,
what may need to
That's
find
what I
that
was
out.
asking, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's the only thing we have to find out is whether or not we'd have to take this to the selectmen because we're expanding a parking lot. But Rick will look into that for us, for you. Any questions about the?
Do we still need to make a motion that we approve it if it goes through the
Yes.
Board of Selectmen?
Yes. But any other questions about what?
No.
Wait, it looks like it looks good.
Great presentation.
Very good.
Definitely covered your bases.
Good job.
Yeah. Okay,
You want me to make a motion?
don't go for it.
Make a motion that the commission approves Michael's project to expand Nut Plains parking lot with the approval of Board of Selectmen.
Second it.
Any other discussion, any more questions for
I just
Michael?
asked, are you looking for funding from this commission too, or are you gonna raise money? Because he was looking for about $2,200, I think he said.
Okay, so then we need to change our motion.
You need to amend your motion.
I'm going to amend my motion that the commission
All the same, except,
except that we give set aside $2,200 for Michael's project with the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
I will still second that.
okay.
Will they need to present to the Board of Selectmen, or will you be able to take care of it?
We'll find that out, we'll
find
let you
out.
know.
Okay, any other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Good job, thank you.
And Rick will check and he'll get back to you and let you know. My guess is that we probably don't, because we're not making
It's not
a huge expansion, but I think we just need to check
No
to be
trees
safe.
coming down.
No trees are coming down, but let's
It's sort of
be
grass
safe.
there now, he's just putting dirt,
Right.
stones, so you can
Yeah.
really park there.
One of the things I just,
So-
thinking now is that if Michael's gonna go through all the effort for the dog park, are we gonna be able to restrict that area to just dog park
Parking.
parking? Because we do share that lot with lacrosse during the spring and summertime, so.
Well, have we ever done that? I mean,
We haven't, the parking that's there now, first come, first serve, we expanded the parking on the other side for the dog park and lacrosse, but since we added dog park, we knew we needed more parking there. And this does give us another 8 spaces, which I think is
needed.
pretty important.
Okay.
okay. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, correspondence. There was an email that Rick received concerning parking here, and actually I believe I was here that day, and the parking was very tight, quite early. like way before the event. So, I don't know, when we know we're gonna do that, could we set up shuttles for people that,
We could try, but really, every day, we're overflow parking here.
I
It's
know,
always like
I
that.
know that, but when we have an event like we had that
Right,
day, and
right.
we knew we had over 100 people coming for the concert that
Right.
morning, maybe
Yeah.
when we know we're going to have a big lunch,
Mm-hmm.
or we know we're going to have a Sills program that's gonna bring in 100 people, I think we need to do something for these people that are,
Do we are there signs in the parking area now that specifies that it's just for park and rec,
We
parking
put
only?
them up,
Or,
we put one up that day, actually.
because I find that a lot of people
Well,
just park
Perk
here
on
just to go
Church.
other places.
Yeah, Perk on Church, because it's right next door,
Right.
they park here, and I think we looked at that a while back, and I think the word we got back was it's a public parking lot.
Right,
You know,
which I
mean,
understand too, but it's hard when people have programs here that
it's
they
very hard.
can't park here.
People
Right.
pay for programs, and
Yep.
they can't park here often. I think when the building committee built the
we
building
knew it.
here, they knew that that was gonna be an issue, that there's parking on the green, and sometimes, but I think that we probably far surpassed the amount of use that they might have envisioned at the time, and, we are looking at some alternatives that would help a lot if we can, if these alternatives
well, I
could.
know when we have the Rotary lunch, we shuttle people over from St. George's,
Yeah.
so I think we would just maybe look
Yeah.
at doing that a few more times. Because they had a Coast Guard band.
Right.
Played, and it was at 10 in the morning, and even by 9:30, the lot was filled.
Well, and this woman said in her letter that her son missed a huge part
Right.
of the class that they paid for
Right.
because of it,
Because
so.
you had to park and walk.
She had to
out,
park
you
all
know,
the way down
Gather all
by
your
the
children,
green.
so I understand that. So let's try and, next time we know we're gonna have a big event, okay?
Is St. George our primary shuttle?
Spot.
Well, yeah, because we could use their parking lot
Yeah.
for the most part, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know there's nothing there during the week, but it's just. that-
Sometimes people will park, if there's nothing going on at the Congregational Church, people park there too, but
Okay.
they may have something going on.
But that's only a few spaces too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not when you have 100
Right.
people coming in here for that one event.
But then again, you're passing the same problem over to them, and they have a small parking lot too.
Over
Yeah.
here, yeah.
Yeah, and then, okay, and then also handed out a thank you note from me. Thank you for the lovely basket.
My pleasure.
Well appreciated. Okay, the minutes of our February 5th meeting. Motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, additions, corrections, anything?
Pretty straightforward.
Kathy, can I ask a question about minutes? It's not for the February minutes, but it would be for the January minutes. We had put the wrong name for the Eagle Scout presentation on our agenda and in our minutes. So can we amend that?
Did we?
It's,
There was a misspelling. It was-
yeah, it's not, oh my God, what is it?
Joshua?
It's Joshua Brous, not Kraus.
BR?
Yeah.
BR.
A-U-S-E?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's for the little
The
libraries, yeah, little books.
Right.
And that was brought to the attention of us for someone looking on our website, so our minutes are looked at.
Okay, any discussion on the February 5th minutes? All in favor?
Aye?
Opposed?
Abstain from over here.
One abstention. Okay, and approval of the minutes of the February 27th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved again?
Second? All right, any discussion on these minutes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? I think we were all there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, the expenditures.
Yeah, I just handed those out.
You
Sorry,
just
we
handed
didn't get
those
them in the
out.
packet.
Yep,
But I do want to make, there was a correction.
okay.
On the first page, Southern Connecticut Gas, New England Road. I don't know if that address is there, but the 203745, that goes under the, on the last page, under GHS.
Okay.
So if you take that off, that total, instead of 8,337 there, that's 6,299.56.
And you added to the back.
Yeah, and so then on the back page, total Parks and Recreation, where the 120,000 is there, that's 117,963.14. And then under GHS, instead of 1,202, if you put that, that gas money there, it's 3,240.10 cents. The grand total is the same, it's just moving things around.
Okay. Any questions on the bills?
So this, having said that, so the Southern Connecticut that got shifted to the high school, is that in line with?
That month was pretty high, it was also high here, because that was for the January.
During the cold
Bills,
spell,
remember, we
it
had
was
that
cold.
real cold spell there?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, the Eversource at the high school, the 829.34. I don't recall what it was in January, but
That's fairly in line with what we've been doing.
is that ballpark?
But yeah. I'm not sure why the address is 701 New England Road here. It's odd, because it's 595, but I checked, that is the bill that goes over there. Yeah, I'm not sure what that address, I'll have to ask Bonnie.
That's the main building.
That's the main high school building? Okay.
It's either the main building or it's the first
The one on the corner?
the Board of Ed building.
Okay, I'm not sure why that was addressed there, but anyway.
It might have been addressed to the Board of Ed, that's
Yeah.
why.
Any other questions? Motion to accept the bills?
So moved.
Second?
Second
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Rick, with, just, not a question for this, but in addition to this, can we have them, I think we've talked about it in the past, near the GHS, include how much we've allotted so that, we watch it break down each month to make sure that we're not running negative or how close to the end mark we're going.
Yeah, we probably have to do the bottom line allotment, because we don't, there's not the monthly, it's a total estimate
Right.
when you do it,
Right.
you don't
Right,
know,
no,
you know.
right.
But I can do like a running total and how we
Yeah.
compare, yeah, we can do
Just
that.
so that,
For just that one?
Just
because,
so
I mean,
know we're not
we
going
end up
over it.
asking every month, are we in
Yeah.
line with what we had planned?
Sure.
And we can
What we
eliminate
budgeted-
that question.
What we budgeted,
Yeah.
so let's make sure we are.
For that section of GH.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but the rest of it's all on us. Okay,
So it's like a running total and percent of budget.
yes,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
yep, we can do that.
All right, our department reports. Any questions on Rick? Anything you need to highlight on your report? Any questions on Rick's report?
I just want to highlight number 9, and probably 13.9. I really, wanted to give a shout out to Alan, Max, and Connor. They did a great job with the Winter Wonderland. In that same week, there 350 people attended that. In the same week, Terry, Patty, Larry, the Peppermint Paradise Winter Dance. In that same week, they did on Monday, I'm sorry, that was a Friday, and then the
Right.
Tuesday, they had the homemade pizza and movie night with like 40 people that came, and Larry was there all day, doing his regular work, came back at night and made the pizzas, and Terry was there, Patty was there, and I'm really proud of the dedication of our staff. They don't
Yeah,
get paid
Wonderland
extra
was
to do
there for
this.
the dance as
They
well.
just come because they do it, because they want to help the community, and, I just want to recognize that, and I just want to tell you, I'm
Yeah.
happy with
No, they do
with
a
the people
great
we have.
job.
They were great.
And then number 13, I thought I would just highlight that a little bit, the energy efficiency meeting. So the town has contracted, I believe it's with Johnson Controls, that have given a proposal, and I believe the town's going forward with it, but there are several energy efficiency things that are going to happen in this building, probably within the next, in the spring. There are a number of windows that are getting replaced, not all of them, but there are 13, 20, maybe, I forgot the number, but quite a few windows. They're also going to be replacing some light bulbs, more energy efficient lights, and some of the HVAC system is going to be upgraded. And so some of these are items that we put in our long-range, 5-year long-range plan. Some of them will be happening now, or at least parts of it now. And it's part of this energy efficiency plan that the town's involved with. They're doing things with the schools, other town buildings, and we're part of that. So there was a meeting last week that I went to with Steve Nydorf and Todd, and it's good news. Some of this
That's
stuff will
great
happen
news.
pretty soon.
And the light bulbs in the kitchen area, the big room.
Big one.
Those I don't think are, and those definitely use a lot of electricity. I think those are not part of them because there's just,
Because there are several out and it's just,
yeah,
the
well, we can
light's
replace
not
those, but,
great.
yeah, there's ballast. I think that was one of the first areas I would have thought they would have done, but they've been here for numerous times and looked at all the rooms, and they're basically saying which bulbs they're gonna replace. And, I can't tell you which ones off the top of my head, but I don't think those are part of it.
We've talked about replacing the ceiling in there.
Yeah.
So probably when we do that, we ought to look at maybe
Different
the
fixtures or
different
something, yeah.
fixtures while we
Yeah.
have that down, something more efficient while we have that all apart.
Right, it'd be great to get some LEDs in there.
Those do require, with the LEDs, they do require different ballasts.
Yeah.
We just did that at my other job, that
Mhm.
we replaced all that, and it's a little bit more than just changing the light bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I know we're gonna replace all
Yeah.
of those tile things, so when we do all of that, that would be the time,
Yeah.
I would think, to do it. Okay, any other questions for Rick?
I have a question for Rick.
Yeah.
On number 12, because of the changes that we're going to have to make with regard to this golf course, especially Mr. Rosello, is he going to be challenged, are we going to let him go through with the project?
Yeah, I've already contacted him, gave him some other suggestions, and I think that probably the other two guys, we're gonna have to give them other suggestions too, depending on what the commission decides you wanna do tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you wanna talk about that, only under,
Oh, let's wait till we get there.
yeah. But I already notified Alex Rosello that, and I gave him 3 or 4 other options for projects. I just
Okay.
haven't heard back from him yet.
Well, he has to go through the review process.
Yeah, and his has to be done by
What's-
November.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because once you get your project stopped, you have to go back, resubmit, and start all over again.
This means he's probably gotta come back here again.
Yes,
and-
yes, he does.
Right,
We'll okay him in
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Get them done.
But it is disappointing when you're in a situation like that and you move forward.
But it also is a great life lesson.
True.
Yes.
Just wondering about his age, did he-
Well, that's the
Yeah.
part is that he's pushing up against the age
Age limit.
limit as to when something can be accomplished for his Eagle approval.
No, We're aware of that.
Okay.
Okay, the Parks Foreman report. Always impressive.
Amazing what they accomplish.
Third bullet from the
So-
bottom, the Chapani sign was actually picked up today. Remember, we had to change, it didn't have junior on it.
Yeah.
For Ralph Chapani Jr. for the high school baseball field. We sent it out to a company in Hamden. They completed it last week. The guys picked it up today.
Oh,
And
good.
it's actually up.
Is that
Yeah,
it?
the guys put it up.
Does B know? I just emailed her the other day. Does she know what's up?
I sent an email to Ralph Jr., because he's the one that was initiating, although,
Right.
yeah.
Contact. I'll
Yeah,
contact
Ralph the third, yeah. Yeah, not
Yeah.
Ralph Jr. He probably knows, but,
I'll call her anyway,
yeah.
just so she knows. Okay. Any news about the building for the guys?
No, I sent the quotes to Mary Jane, but I haven't heard anything back, for the, the portable office in the back there, but I haven't heard anything back.
All right, I just don't want to forget them.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this report? On Tony's report? Okay. Moving on to Recreation Supervisor, Ellen's report.
I guess I'll just highlight the first one. I think, Claire, you had asked for this comparison. So you can see the number of programs offered this winter, 122. Every year some get canceled, you know, you try things, and, but a enrollment of 1,157 people. In 2017, by comparison, there were about 40 less classes, 87. Am I doing my math right? Yeah. And 967 enrolled, so we have more classes and more people participating this year.
Does this include the seniors?
No, this is just non-seniors. Yeah, if I put Terry's senior stuff in there
Oh,
too, the
wow.
number would skyrocket. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I did see the sign up for employment for this summer. Getting any
Oh,
feedback?
yeah, the applications?
Yep. The gate guards,
Yeah, you know,
lifeguards.
Ellen first sends out to all the people who we invite back
Back.
at first, and then we see what's available from that. I mean, there's some positions some people she already knows aren't coming back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then the advertisement goes out, and we usually do pretty well. Sometimes it's a little difficult getting the water safety instructors, because there aren't a lot of people who have that.
Right.
And then if we can't, we then just get somebody who's a lifeguard, and we try to get them certified, and go from there.
Well, you guys always do a great job because I use and abuse those people all summer long, and
Yeah.
they're fabulous.
The true test.
Yep.
Ellen did let me have some information that she was looking to prioritize from a technology standpoint,
New business.
new business.
Technology's right there with
I,
you. We're getting to you.
thank you.
Okay, and any questions on Terry's report? Seniors?
They are so busy, it's
Other
amazing.
than we are terribly busy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the
March 23rd after
Price is Right game show, the game show afternoons are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, in it to win it, and I tried that, and I lost, but hey.
But you try.
Well, I have to come in late and just suddenly found myself sitting there doing this, so yes, I did. The moral of that story is, don't come in late.
Yeah.
Okay. Reports of the commissions, or staff representatives. So standing fields. Anything, John?
Nothing, the main topic of conversation is with regard to the high school fields. Rick has been on top of that with regard to making, to get the parties together to come to a resolution.
That's with the turf, the new field?
That's with the new field, that is correct. With regard to any of the existing fields, there is going to be a walk-around by the Standing Fields Committee on, the date, yeah, I think it's the April, that's where it is.
7th, I think, isn't it?
April 7th and April 8th. Where they'll take a survey of the fields to see what immediate need has to be corrected. And also to give a status on what's good as well. With regard to any other, one thing that we had discussed is that that as a committee chairman, we asked that Mr. Schmidt send a letter to Mr. Hoey to say that they would be not in favor of any type of a buffer area around any of the athletic fields. That would cause some consternation with regard to whether or not fields would be available. So that was an official position that the board was going to take and send to the Board of Selectmen. Other than that, everything's really pretty much hinging on the high school field right now, because that is, there's just, it's pretty intense as to how much exposure is on the part of the contractors as to what they have to do for a remedy. And I guess Rick can answer that a little bit more than I can.
We're having a Wednesday, we've set up a date with any potential consultants. Paul Schmidt and the town attorney wrote up a request for quotes for consultants to come and take a look at the field, come up with what they think caused the problems there, and then what they're going to write up the specs for the remedy of it. We're seeking that information from the installer, the carpet company, and the shot pad company also, but we need someone else to say, well, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, we got to try this approach. And so we're looking for an independent consultant, and that we just sent information out Friday, and the walkthrough is scheduled for, site visit is scheduled for Wednesday.
I think the consensus of Rick's involvement with these contractors is that every one of them looks at this and says, it's never happened
Yeah.
before. So we are in the unique position of being singular in having a field that has rendered itself useless for no good reason, that they can identify. But there will be a remedy behind it. There is, it's still under warranty with regard to the manufacturer. So that's the positive to draw out of this right now.
Thank you. Green Committee, anything?
No meeting this last month.
Okay. Land acquisition.
No meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, I did all the work this month.
Hey, you know?
About you.
Come on.
No,
Look at the
we did
drop.
some work here, you know, let's not get too upset. Okay, so unfinished business, repairs and refurbishing of the community center. So, a couple of things. The closet in the elite room is getting some shelving, and it's looking rather nice. We still have to get in there and clean it up a little bit, but I'm
good start.
working with Todd on that, you know, trying to get it cleaned up. He has started to put the shelving up, and it's starting to look a lot neater than it has ever looked, so that's really great. And about 7 years ago, I think, the commission approved some upgrades of the desks
Mm-hmm,
in the office.
yes.
And we sort of phased this in, and we're on the last phase of it. So we're going to start that and get that completed now. So I think that's where we are with all of our repairs right now. But Todd is, you know, he's doing as much as he can.
So with all your
He's great.
reorganizing, have you, I remember we had talked a few months back about possibly getting an external or outside storage facility. Is it, you're finding that's not going to be necessary now, or?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's let's get through this and see.
Oh, you're still working through it?
Oh, we
Okay.
are still working.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Check the Quantapug room. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's boxes of things everywhere. But no, we're working on this, and I think
You made a lot of progress.
we've
though.
made a lot of progress.
You
This
really
closet's
have.
looking really much better. I think the problem is seasonal to a certain degree, right? When all the stuff starts to come in for camp, it's really a problem. I don't know how we could get around that, you know. But at least we're getting the things that are here
Really bad
most of
about
the
that
year
type of box.
fairly well organized. We're making some headway on that.
Todd also is working on the carpet specs.
Yes.
And he has
Quite a few.
way too many, probably 40 samples right now. And so
Gotta
I'm
narrow
not prepared to give any kind of report on that, because I don't know what the
No,
cost of any of
let's
this is
not.
yet, but he's starting to get samples, starting to get some quotes, and we'll, hopefully within the next month, we'll be able to start, you know, get an idea of what it's gonna cost.
And he's gonna get quotes on all the rooms as well?
All the rooms we've said need it, yeah. I think we're gonna go beyond whatever,
Part of this as well?
we're gonna
Yeah.
probably go beyond what our original plan was, because there's some rooms that probably now came up that probably need it that we didn't think about a year
But the
ago.
office is looking pretty bad.
Yeah, right,
Really bad.
yeah. And that was not one that we originally talked
No,
about.
but the more I go in there, it's
Right.
just, we need it.
It's more cost effective too to do it at that time.
Right.
Yes, so we'll see to it. All right. Jacob's Beach platform.
Okay, if you notice on Rick's report, number 3, Rick and Will Thompson, who's the architect, and I attended the bid opening, and there were 3 bidders, and the lowest bid went to Coastline Consulting. And they actually had done the other portion as well, so they're familiar with the project, and we were pleased with that. So, right now, Will is, I guess there was an order put in for the wood, and as he has always done in the past with the boardwalk, he wants to look at all of the samples first to make sure that it is what he had specified to order. So we don't just blindly order it without having confirmation. So just waiting to get that approved, and they're moving forward. The plan is for them to start as soon as that order comes in, and the substantial completion would be done July 15th, hopefully sooner, but it depended on whether they could get the materials in sooner. And then also, they've got a 14-day window, I think, after that substantial completion date to do any of the punch lists. We go in, look at everything, and then they can do the final. But even though it does tip into our season a little bit, they're gonna have that area all safely, meshed off so that they're working in a confined area and nobody else can get in there and there's no safety issues. So we made sure that that was part of it, knowing that they'd have to kind of fall into the beginning of the season, so. I don't know if you have anything else on that, Rick, but that's all I
The only
have.
thing really that I'd add, so you did a good job covering, is that Will's hopeful that it could be done sooner than that. The wood is not readily available, has to be ordered, and they're allowing, I think it said 12 weeks maybe, allowing for the wood order.
Yeah, and he said that they kind of tend to err on the side of a longer,
Right.
farther window than
Right.
when it may actually come in.
So if they get it in 8 weeks, it could be done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And the goal would be to have it done before camp starts, that would be ideal, but
That was the hope.
the other option is to wait until fall, and we know we
No.
have to get it done.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, guys, next on the agenda, disc golf. I don't know, what did we say?
How much more can we say?
How much more can we say?
Well, you had asked at the end of our meeting with Mr. Hoey as to, the timberlands. I found out about that. It is town of Guilford property. It is not part of the land trust. It is managed by the Guilford Conservation Commission. So, and that's the same with Braymore. I was up at Braymore yesterday. And so, it is town property. The only thing I think that would probably be a handicap, especially for the timberlands, is that we have the New England Trail running right through the middle of it. So now since we've went through all the effort to make that nationally recognized, I think that would be a mistake to try to disturb that.
Well, and also, there's really no parking either.
No.
Unless you're using the cock ponds that are across Route 80
Or
and
you-
having people
oh,
cross Route 80,
right.
which is,
Yeah, I know.
people do
Do
so
it
that
anyway,
they
yes.
connect the trails, but
Right.
probably not the best.
Right. Now, there is parking up at Braymore. That was another Boy Scout project from like 2008, or somewhere in that neighborhood. There's parking there for about, maybe about 10 to 12 cars, but the significant portion of that land is up and down or really down and really wet. The Yellow Trail yesterday was completely underwater for the vast majority of it. So I don't see how it's also a very significant elevation of about 200 to 300 feet at its apex coming up the red-blue trail. So I think it would be too onerous for anybody to actually take a hike and go up there and try to play. They'd probably only make about 4 holes and then they would want to come back because it's just too hard of a hike for them. Which leads us back to Bittner. Yes. The thing about Bittner is that I don't know enough of the people who use the horses to use it as a horse trail. My wife and I have walked, from the north end all the way up to the end of the boundary line, and you can connect all the way over to Baldwin Middle School. Baldwin has that big open area that they were going to put either the new school or they were going to put athletic fields back there, and they did neither. So there is an open area back there that the only handicap about Baldwin again would be that you would have to do something about parking. You would have to cut through the woods to get away from the school property in order to get parking for, or you would just have to use Bittner as an access.
Back there too, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes.
Would be inland wetlands.
Well, during the
Well, you can
summertime,
get
that
over
stream
that,
is not
yeah.
there. It's gone. It's pretty much dried up. But the one thing about Bittner, it has different types of topography in it. You have wooded, you have open, but it would be a challenge to try to work around the trails because the trails are a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? They loop around. Yeah, they intertwine. That's the word I'm looking for.
I know people will argue with me on this, but parking at Bittner is still my concern.
Well, that's on my agenda at the end of this.
I mean-
I wanted to talk about that too.
It's already a very well-used area, and parking during certain seasons is next to impossible. To add another commodity there that's going to need, and again, it's not gonna be 30 parking spots every day, but you're adding another set of people possibly during the height of
Prime
soccer,
time is Little
baseball.
League season and high school soccer season, because Mr. Marr prefers playing his varsity games on the grass field than he would on the turf
A
field.
lot of his games are at night, you know.
A lot of his games are at night.
So that wouldn't impact it.
Okay,
But during
More
Little
clearing
League.
required? Wasn't there a lot more clearing required there?
At Bittner?
At Bittner?
It would cost.
It would require a
us-
little
it
bit
would
more.
cost-
And the
If we
cost.
started to look at Bittner, it's going to give us, yes, it's going to be a more substantial cost, no doubt about that.
yes, yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's the woods, there is no old growth woods in there. It's all new growth or saplings. I mean, I can't even think of any old oak tree that looks more than 2 feet in diameter that's in there. Everything that was in that area was knocked down at one point, and this is new growth that has come back in there.
Rick, I did not walk Bittner when you guys walked it. Where exactly at Bittner, if we put this, would we put this? I'm
So
trying to envision it.
I walked it today with Craig, with our designer, and re-looked at it, and we went the entire perimeter, which earlier on, he did not know the extent of what we have in Bittner. Bittner Park is 140 acres.
Right.
The developed area is probably 40, roughly, between the parking lot and the fields and everything, and the skate park. So we, from the skate park, we walked, I guess it's north toward Baldwin. But if we look at Bittner, I would recommend not crossing over the stream into the Baldwin property, because now it's school property, and if they want to expand the school, then keep
Then
it
we have a problem.
100% in Bittner. And then it kind of goes around, and there's a trail that goes up toward Long Hill, which is pretty not used a lot, I don't think.
Isn't
And
that the one the horses come down?
they might, some there, but, and it kind of loops around, and it comes back to the main trail, and then it goes up, there's a big area above the soccer field, where the ledge is, up above the soccer field. And Craig looked at that, thought he could probably get 3 or 4, probably, fairways in that area. So what he was gonna do is, he can go back with a GPS, because we have some maps, but we don't have the trails on the maps. He can create a map with his GPS while he's walking it. It'll outline the trails on it. So he can then lay it out on a map. He can look at the trails, see what kind of impact it might have with trail crossings. But in walking it today, I think he saw areas he hadn't seen before and didn't realize were there. And so he thought there was some potential. I think really the decision we have, one of the decisions we have before us right now is, do we still try to do peddlers, which I think we're thinking not, or do we do a modified version at peddlers, like 9 holes versus 18? I think we've heard a lot of reasons not to go there. And in speaking with disc golf people and golfers, everyone unanimously says you want to do 18 holes. If you're going to do 18. Because people don't go and play 9 all that much. Maybe families would, or little kids possibly, but if you really want it to be something that is going to be attraction to people, you want to go 18. We can do that at Bittner probably. I would just request that the commission give us the charge to look at Bittner again, a little bit deeper. I am going to meet tomorrow with that group at Town Hall that we were told we should meet with, the town planner, environmental planner, and
I would say
town
we're
engineer.
going to meet and talk about both.
To talk about, and look,
both
just
peddlers
give us some
and Bittner.
direction.
Let's get
Yeah.
some information on both of
Right.
them.
Yeah, and see what they say, and then we can come back, and meanwhile, Craig's continuing to be willing to volunteer to look into this for us, and if he can lay something out, we can bring a map back to the next meeting, everybody can look at it and, get an idea, okay, what do we want to do? Or if you want to schedule a walk out there, we could do that.
He's got so many hours. He's got so many hours in this. I really appreciate
He's
his
an
time.
amazing volunteer.
I know.
Yeah, and he's just committed to it, and he said, look, I told you guys I'm going to help you, and I'm going to still help you. Whatever you do, wherever you want to do it, I'll work with you, so, it's nice to have volunteers like that, yeah.
Meanwhile, I believe Matt Hoey says he's still gonna keep looking into the environmental issues over there so here, let's keep the lines of
Kind of say,
communication
keep
open
it
with him.
parallel, sort of look,
Yes.
keep looking, and meanwhile,
Yes, let's keep
maybe
those
something
lines
works out there.
open with him too, so that
Yeah.
if we can, we can go back and use it. Plus, I think we need to know what the story is with peddlers, yes or no, because we do have other, even if we end up moving disc golf to Bittner, we need to know whether or not we can use peddlers, because we do eventually want to look at pickleball. We're going to eventually need more fields, so we have to know whether that land is going to be developable or not.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then we just know we can never develop it, and we just have to go from there. But if we can, then we need to start looking at this, so. Let's keep all those lines open,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Roof replacement.
It's finally moving along, and the specifications were finally completed. There's a site visit here for all potential contractors, March 21st. Bid opening is scheduled for March 29th. So I'm glad we have a roof overhead, because we'd be getting wet. Anyway, it's moving along, and, the whole idea was to have the work being done in summer anyway. We still have to get the budget approved for the additional cost that's gonna cost us to do this now, but meanwhile, we'll get real numbers, real quotes, real bids, March 29th. So we're moving on that one.
So speaking of the roof, just, we did okay with the last one. We didn't have to open up it as an emergency shelter.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we looking at this week's storm?
I just heard a little about it, but, I don't know, it's supposed to be worse. I guess we're talking about a little bit of snow, but I think it's like wet snow.
All right.
I don't know that we're getting a blizzard. They called the last one a nor'easter, but, and you know why it's called a nor'easter, right? Because it usually is in February, right? It's neither Christmas nor Easter.
Oh, I knew something was going to happen.
Well, you do know if we prepare for it, then it won't happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So
We're
let's
always
prepare as
prepared.
much as
We're always
possible.
We're always
I
ready.
want no
Always ready.
snow.
Always ready. They can call me right now, and I
I
can
was
get
kind of
people here.
surprised I didn't get a call from you, because so many people were that, like,
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that.
It only happens if I get a call from Charlie Hershaft or the
I-
first selectman, they say, hey, we need to open a community
Yes.
shelter. I get people here, and we're open.
Speaking of that, apparently they didn't have to do that.
Originally, wasn't it the plan that once the high school was done, the high school was gonna become the shelter?
They couldn't,
But they decided not to for some reason, because,
Well, that's a backup. I think that what I'm hearing is the plan is if it was a big monster storm and we were overloaded here, that would be the,
so we're
The
going to
overflow.
remain
Backup.
the shelter,
Yeah.
not the high school eventually.
I think
Unless it's-
partly because we just have experience in doing it. Unfortunately, we've had too much experience.
I love it.
Well, and I also thought it was dependent on if it was downtown Guilford that was having the issue, this building might not be in use, so that would be the backup, and vice versa. So,
Right.
we're still,
we're the main.
We're in the mix.
we're the main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the sunfish racks at Jacobs. We had a woman here last
Request, yeah.
month talking about that. So
Mrs. Kowalski.
can we find some room for them?
We can. Tony and I went down there a couple of weeks ago, and very simply, if there's a rack here and a rack here, there's like 5 to 6 feet of space in between. All we have to do is run some 2x6s between the racks, and it's wide enough for these sunfish and these wider boats. So it's not like a big expense. We don't need to have an Eagle project to build a whole nother rack. And there are 3 gaps, 3 places, so and we figure we can do 2 rows, so we can do 6.
It'll be low
6.
enough for them to be able
Yeah.
to build their heavier boats.
We could do up to 6. We only had 3, I think, last year.
Are you taking away a walkway to do that?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, I mean, you could still walk around them.
I'm thinking about people trying to get to the water.
No, it's not, it's the ones that are by the grass, sort of the playground end of it
Okay.
there. But there might be one rack here, one here, and it's just again, a 5 or 6 foot gap between
Okay.
it. You can still get, and there's no reason people have to get behind it really anyway, because they pull the boats out the other way. But if they had to, they could still go around and get there. Just wouldn't cut through, but
Okay.
it was a simple way to do it, low cost.
And how many do we think we could accommodate?
I think we can get 6.
All right,
And
fair enough.
and I did, was it Marion, the woman?
Marion
Yeah.
Cohen.
I did email her back and told her we're gonna be able to do it. And I think later on in the new business, we want to talk about, do we want to maybe look at the fee, because these are bigger boats, the FEMA, and I have some suggestions for that.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, the 25th anniversary of the community center. Yes, we are on that committee. That's
I
what
guess
you
I
got.
am on that committee.
Yes, you
I read
are.
that
That's,
in
you
minutes. I
know,
said, what do you know?
that's what happens.
you're not here?
That's what happens. Next time, show up.
Did you plan it out yet?
Um,
I'm all for it.
I did talk to Ellen briefly about this, and we probably will have to look at May or June at this point to put this thing together. So, we have a couple of ideas, and we'll figure it out.
Still have the
As soon as we get
presentation from the
everything else
20th?
done.
We went to the 20th, you had that
PowerPoint.
nice
Yeah,
PowerPoint
we do.
still,
Yeah.
hopefully.
We
have
do
that
have,
stuff.
yeah,
do have
we
some
got
of
it
it.
from the last time
Yeah.
that it was done.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So I guess when I talked to Ellen, she wasn't sure when, what, how.
That's right, you're gonna run this too, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We talked to them. Well,
I was the only one here, and it was like, who's gonna help Ellen? And I'm like, I'll help.
okay.
And then I get forgotten.
No, you're actually,
Yeah, she's right there.
you're on my list.
Uh-oh, you're on Rose's.
You're on the list, you're on, I have a list, I have a list at the end. Uh-huh. Okay, any other unfinished business that we need to talk about? Okay, so
No.
so let's go to our reimbursable guidelines. Do you want, I've talked a lot, do you want to say something about that? I mean, I will if you want, but
Just that we did meet with Rick,
Mary Jane.
Ellen, Terry, and Mary Jane from Town Hall to talk about our reimbursables account and moving forth, how we use it and how we come up with how we use it. So we're just coming up with some simple guidelines just to make sure that we're always on the same page when it comes to either equipment that we need, programs we want to start, how we go about suggesting those and getting the funds for that.
Plus, that's also a holding account for things that we, classes and
Right,
programs
right,
that we
yep,
know
right.
are in the future, let's say summer camp or whatever. That's like a holding account for those funds that we know are gonna come in and out of there,
Right.
Yep.
so. It's
So
a
we
lot
just
of
want,
money
we
already
feel,
earmarked.
we have not found any written guidelines, and we just feel that this needs to be put down in writing somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good
So
idea.
everybody's aware of how we're doing this.
Right, and that just keeps us all on the same page if we have suggestions and, or questions when things are brought up.
Yeah,
We'll do
Very
that
simple.
soon.
very.
Okay, technology upgrades. Mark.
You're on that committee.
Mark's that committee, you got it.
Okay. So Ellen was kind enough to put together quite a list for us of technology upgrades that the community center would like to submit for us to debate and appropriate, hopefully, the funds for the said reimbursables, expenses. And I guess I'll just run down in order.
I have a few copies, Mark. Is this the thing, the email she sent?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think I made copies for everybody, if you don't mind sharing.
I have mine on my phone, so.
Okay. Perfect. I'll show you that. You get the keys.
Sure, I'll share it.
And I got one more.
Oh,
Here's one more, I don't need one, because
we can actually get you a copy.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you, Mark.
So,
So with that.
in full disclosure, Ellen and I were intending to get together on Friday. My schedule did not allow that to happen. I then tried to reschedule that for today. My schedule did not allow that to happen, so I apologize, and I will reach out to Ellen tomorrow. It would have been helpful, obviously, for me. But, so the priority in order is a redesign and a mobile-friendly redesign for the current Parks and Rec website. And these are things that we've already gone out to bid. They've been on the ask list for a period of time, and so the bids have been collected. There's been some work already done in terms of finding the appropriate persons to go and hopefully address these requests. So from a website standpoint, again, there's about a $6,000 expense to do a redesign and to allow for a mobile-friendly experience. So today, if you go to our website with a cell phone, You'll see that it's hard to move around, right? The links, it's far different when you use a PC versus when you use a mobile device that probably 80% of us in town probably use mobile devices these days. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It's something that I see in my business. My customers are doing the same thing. Everyone's trying to do the redesign and make them mobile friendly. It's also, it helps to improve the performance of the websites when they're loaded into a mobile device. So it's not just the aesthetics, it's actually the performance of that website and how it interacts with a mobile device. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Then hopefully, I mean, the point would be to be able to do more interaction from a mobile device and select classes to sign up for, right? Make that experience better for the user. Second is there's a system called Mobile Rec Track, and it's from a company called Vermont Systems. This is a software that sort of manages and monitors the viewing of enrollments for all of our activities and all of the events that we host. So this would be sort of an online registration system. So it becomes a mobile-friendly version of that site. I don't know, Rick, if you've got a comment on how it's done today versus, how.
I don't think you can register like from a cell phone now. I think this will allow that. The way we do registration has really evolved so much over the years, from people waiting in line for an hour and a half, and the line going down up the sidewalk and coming in, and to then we used to have a lottery where everybody nailed it in, we mix them all up and do one by one, and now it's probably 75, maybe 80% online now, and so things have just changed over the years, and now for people, you have to sit at a computer to do it, and so it's not mobile friendly right now.
To follow that up, there's a POS system also from Vermont Systems that could be used for collecting fees at beaches, along with the kitchen here in the community center, and the expense associated with that of $5,000. So that's, again, more of an electronic POS system, point of sale system, that, again, will make that process, again, a mobile experience. So I believe that could be done from an iPad. As if you read down further, we'll get to that in a minute. And then there's training. So there's 3 days of training that Ellen has put in for Vermont Systems for the mobile rec track and the point of sale system. So it's been a number of years since there's been some technology training. Ellen points out about 5 years since the staff has had much technology training. So I think that's long overdue. 5 years is eons in technology speak. And then the iPads. So there's a request for 2 for beaches, $2,000, possibly purchase more for public use, to be used at a larger event for registration, for senior classes, maybe for a class for seniors how to use an iPad. So that could be a helpful thing. Yes, exactly. I can speak for I'll just say family members of mine that often make trips to down to New Haven to the Apple store to get training, and if you've ever been into an Apple store, you know that you will wait and wait, and it's so maybe if that's something that we can offer here in town, I think that could be very helpful. Or just turn to your kindergartner or first grader next door, and they'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Why not?
I think the 6-year-old will be a lot more patient than the Apple Store people.
It's all my kids know, right? It's funny. Yep. And then there's a Parks and Rec website server, and the current server that serves up the website that we all hit when you go to Parks and Rec is from 1999. And that's sort of right in my sweet spot of what I do for a living, and I can tell you that, yes, it's long overdue. I'm sure there's bubble gum and duct tape holding it together at this point. And for a very fair cost of $2,500, I think that's right in line with what would be needed. Others to consider, the possibility of adding 2 smart boards to the community center. Smart boards, like you see in any of the high school, the new high school, right? They're whiteboards that have the ability to be marked up on and then displayed upon. The things that are written on the smart board can then be saved to a tablet, to a computer, so it's very slick. I know, we use them where I work, and it becomes very easy to conduct meetings, save the notes, distribute the notes. That could be very helpful depending on where Ellen's looking to place them. Maybe there's a few rooms I imagine she has in mind. Again, my apologies for not reaching out to her or not being able to schedule time to find out where in the community center they would be located. Laptops, 2 laptops, one for the community center itself and then one for the park foreman. So I imagine, again, these are going to be very useful when they're out and about, specifically the park foremans, having it in their vehicles or to be able to take work home potentially, right? So that ability to just be able to be more mobile, especially, you have events that take place at a moment's notice, the ability to interact on a mobile device certainly would be helpful. And then last is a DLP projector, so an overhead projector for the Guilford Whitfield room. And that is it. So that's a pretty extensive list. Yes.
Rick, question about the server. With the new, we just did new Wi-Fi through the town, right? We have our own server here. We don't piggyback off of their server or anything like that.
I think we have a separate one. I think we have 2 servers. One of them is specifically for RecTrack and for the website, and there's another one that's the email and all that. I think that one was provided by Town Hall. I think we originally bought the server years ago for RecTrack, and I think that may be the one she's talking about. Yes, for the website. The other one might be newer. I think it is. I feel like Tony's replacing the IT guy not too long ago, but I know we have 2 of them in the back
And we
room.
currently use RecTrack,
Yes.
but this would be an updated version of it to do the mobile,
Right.
because we do not have that.
Yeah, correct. It's all, technology. We were ahead of the curve for a while, but Ellen and Tony, the IT guy, went to a technology presentation for recreational things like this, and I think it was in Cheshire maybe a few months ago, and I think they found out we were like way behind now. We were ahead, but we're behind now because we haven't done anything to upgrade some of these things, and it's time to move ahead a little bit. The one thing I would just question a little bit, and we didn't talk a lot about this, but the projector in the Whitfield room, the Guilford room, I guess that's what hangs down for for a smart board or for a. We just might want to think a little about that. Whoever's going to do it would have to look at it, because we have basketball in there.
Right.
Basketballs are flying around. I think the idea it'd be wonderful for town meetings, like the budget hearings and stuff. I think the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance would love that. I think certainly in the Minnetonka room makes a lot of sense because they have a lot of meetings there too. But
Yeah, we have to be careful.
I think we have
putting
to,
that
you know,
in the
if we're gonna do it, we're gonna make sure there's a way it's protected, because ceiling tiles get hit in there, and I don't know, how that would work out, but, it's a recreation room too. It's not just a meeting space, and there's a lot of recreation activity going
And
in.
how often would we really use that? I mean, it's,
Well, I think you have
I mean,
it,
that
you
would
probably
be the
use it
question.
more if we
Well, I
have it,
think if you have it, yes, you
We'll
will
use
use
it
it
more.
because you can do your movie nights in
Yeah.
there and use the projector for that
Yeah.
instead of having a screen and the projector
Mhm.
on a cart getting knocked over. So I think if it was placed there, you would find multiple uses for it.
Right, it would get used, no question about it. But we just gotta think about that. If we're thinking of going that direction, we gotta just see if there's a way they can protect it, so it doesn't get hit by basketballs, because inevitably, it's gonna happen. Or we don't allow basketball in there, but,
Is the intent for that to be something that is affixed to the ceiling, or more of a
well, that's what we
mobile?
need to know. That's what we
Or
need to
more of a
find out.
mobile, I know you mentioned, like, for movie nights where they are set up on a cart or something
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, it'd be
Obviously, that
nice.
gives you more flexibility
Yeah.
to move it to the
Yes.
rooms as seen, as appropriately needed, but
I think you definitely have to look into that one, because if there is crawl space at all above the kitchen, that wall, I mean, you can do it like a movie theater where it's placed in the wall. So
Right.
that way it's not
Yeah,
gonna.
That would be.
But that would be
make sense if that
structural,
could be
we would
done.
need to
You'd
look.
have to look at.
Where the divider is.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a better way to do it if that was possible.
Well, would your resolution
So-
decrease when, the farther away
Yeah.
you get away from the
Yeah,
screen?
'cause usually they're really close, aren't they?
Yeah, it depends on the capability of the
Yeah.
projector itself, and I don't.
So, Mark, would it make sense for you to at least move ahead with the priority and sort of, we could talk about the others things later?
Absolutely. I think that's very fair, right? We can, let me go do a little legwork on the location, what Ellen had in mind. And I
Right,
will-
and how would we use the smart boards and things like that? Let's get a little
Yes.
more information on that.
Use.
But you would recommend that we do move ahead on the priority?
I do, yes, based on the comments that she wrote in this note to me as well. I think that would be the intent tonight. It would be to get the approval to move forward with the priorities. And to your point, the others, we can, let me do a little more research with Ellen and figure out where the best placement.
Integrate with the town system as well, or would this be a standalone system just for us?
The, which system?
Well, no, I
The
mean-
server or
The servers, yes.
Probably, it would probably be a standalone, just based on the priority. If you're going to be serving up the website, right, to multiple, hundreds or thousands of users, that plus maybe if that's going to be the same spot where we'll run RecTrack, the new
Yeah.
mobile version, that's probably going to be enough to keep it busy.
Okay.
But, I mean, I can certainly have that discussion with Anthony as well, but my gut tells me that's probably the way.
All right, so, would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve these expenditures for the technology upgrades for the community center. May I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you.
Okay. I would assume that we can take this out of reimbursables, but we should run it by the selectmen as well before we.
Or at least certainly by at least the finance department, for sure, yeah.
Mary Jo?
Do we have to go through capital in order to do this, or?
I don't think so, but I think we do have to deal with town hall.
Yeah,
before
I think some of the conversations we had
We
last week.
had, that's why
that
I'm
we
thinking,
should
from
do
the
that.
conversation we had, I think we need to
Yeah.
definitely run it by them, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would have to be, contingent on the approval from
Yeah, I
town
think
hall
those like
to use the funds.
come out of our-
Yes. All right. Any other questions on this, guys? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's start. Wow. We're getting there. Okay, fees for using Chaffage Island.
I'm only bringing it up because we're getting more and more requests. And what I'm handing out is, this is the fee schedule we have for Jacobs Beach. Not that we have to do it that way, but or maybe no fee, but we're getting more requests for, like, especially wedding ceremonies. Not a lot, but maybe 3 or 4 a year. We actually just had one for Rollwood Park, where the foundation is, the old chimney there. It's a non-resident, and so, I did kind of, came with a fee similar to what we charge at Jacobs Beach. Their wedding's not until the fall, I think, so we can change it if you want to, but I just, the difference at Chaffage is there's no gate guard there, there's nobody to monitor anything, but we're getting more requests, and they're often non-residents that want to.
What are they requesting
Yeah.
exactly?
Having a wedding ceremony, actually, somebody wants to have a reception there, and I said,
Well, that is
that's
a
gonna be a little hard.
different ballgame.
Yeah.
That's a different ballgame.
Right, because they want like 6 hours, and I said, even for your ceremony, the park's open. It's still a park, so it's not closed off, so if you're having a ceremony, you say, I do, there might be somebody throwing a Frisbee around or something, or,
Exactly.
walking their dog behind you, but, there are some groups, not a lot of groups that are going there, but it's been, again, not a lot, but it's wedding ceremonies, it could be 100 people, and I tell them there's parking for 15, so you gotta shuttle in from somewhere, you can't bring 100 people, there's no room for 100 cars. And again, I think in a lot of cases, they aren't residents, and so I don't have a fee structure to say, well, go ahead, you can go use it, it's free. So I'm thinking, we probably should talk about this, because we're getting more requests, it seems. Sometimes I try to steer them to Jacobs Beach, but they don't really want to have wedding ceremony at Jacobs, because there we do have a fee structure, and I tell them, but at picnic shelters, if it's raining, some of these groups, they want to bring tents in, they all want to bring chairs,
Wow.
rented chairs, and it's not just staying in there with a justice of peace and 10
Okay,
people.
that was my question, because I've done a couple of weddings there, but it's just been like 3 or
This
4
is
people and
larger
me.
groups, 50, 100
Yeah.
people, yeah.
Yeah, no, when they start to bring in a big group, you then
Yeah.
take over the whole park,
Right.
so that's, becomes a problem.
So
Yeah.
I just need some guidance, and right now I don't have any direction to give them, and I've been telling people over the years, there's no fee. I'm just suggesting that we use something like we have at Jacobs, maybe similar, if it's, 1 to 25 people, it's $40 for residents, you see the fee there. 50 people, 55, and then it goes up, beyond that, and non-residents we charge more.
But then you have to work, but then again, with parking, I mean, you can't be guaranteed that you can ask people to use a shuttle. That doesn't mean they're going to. I mean, I've been there many times with cars all over the place there, even up and down the road. Then, to me, that kind of seems like we need some monitoring going on, which,
Yeah, true, yeah,
You
or, excuse me, another option is we don't allow it.
yeah,
Because
that there isn't any.
if somebody just, without notifying us, does
Just
this,
did it.
we have no recourse.
Right.
I mean, we just don't go there and throw them out. Well,
But,
You
yeah,
know.
I mean, I think if we were to do a structured fee, that I would not include groups of 26 to 50. It's just, because,
Like a
yes, it
flat
could
fee or
be,
something.
it could be 50 people and, it's a school bus that drops them off and leaves, but
But it could
you
be
can't
50
guarantee that that's always gonna be the way. So I think you can't have more than, well, to the school, I feel like I've had a school trip there before. And I think we did have a bus just drop us off and we left and we were probably 30 people, but, we didn't have any cars there. It was a bus, it dropped us, it left.
But that was also a school.
but if you
That
know
was a
this
school
ahead of
bus.
time. you
Right.
can-
I do think you're right. We do need to have a form. We do need to, have a fee.
And they do fill a form out, but it's like the facility use form, it's used for anything from the,
Right.
basketball court to fields or whatever, it's not this, and there's no fee on that, and they just give us the date and time, and that's it. So I'm not talking about like a family wants to go down there, I think
No.
we're talking about large.
No, I
No,
think we're
this is a
talking about
group.
large groups.
But then
Yeah.
if we do that, are we kind of drawing attention to that can be done there now? And then you're gonna end up with.
It's
It's
going
gonna
to
come to us
happen.
anyway.
But I mean, you're getting that many
Yeah.
requests for people to use?
3
That's why
maybe a
that's
year,
such
it's
a
not a
nice
lot,
rate
but
or
it's
year,
a
but-
big group when it is, and
Really?
there's no charge.
But
Right
by
now.
not having a policy, you don't have any parameters
Right.
to
Right.
set limits
And
to
if we
keep the
have the
numbers down.
form, then we can notify the police department and say,
That's right,
there
right.
is a
There's
function
a
going
violation.
on.
Yeah,
They can monitor.
And then, again, if you don't have this, we, especially down there, no swimming, because we don't have any, we don't want
Right.
responsibility for that down at,
No.
correct.
down there.
So-
We don't, no alcohol. We want this out there so that they know.
But that
I mean,
gives you
if
the
we don't do
control.
this, they come then and bring everything, and then what do you do?
So if there's a large group that goes in there, and it's, do the police monitor it, or
Like, who
it
is
would have to
monitoring
be
it?
monitored, because it's
Unless
like
somebody
no
calls their town,
alcohol.
Unless we ask them to, I don't think they would. I think so. If we had any questions or doubts, we probably have to send one of ours down to just take a look and see what's going on.
I think the police are on these forums, probably more so that, if somebody calls and, hey, there's
Yes.
80 people on the beach, they know it. They
They
say,
know
yeah,
what's
that's
going on
something
there.
been approved. Because a lot of times these are after, before or after, we have lifeguards at Jacobs Beach.
Right.
We still have picnics there into, late October. And there's no gate guard or anybody there, but they fill a form out, and so they paid their fee and they have the pavilion. And so the police are aware of it. So again, if somebody called or said, gee, there's a bunch of these people down here, they,
And then if you look, I mean,
They
the
have it.
facilities there, there's one outhouse there. I mean,
Well, that's something that, if you want to use that park, you're gonna have to know this. This is, and
Yeah,
I almost
it's
like the idea of
rustic.
them. Well, that's part of the
Yeah,
problem.
having
They
a
have to
Chaffinch
know
form.
that if you are going to Chaffinch, there are not facilities, there's no running water, parking is limited.
There's one porta john.
And, I mean, it's not a huge place, but it is still open to
No
the public.
alcohol.
We cannot keep the public out of there. But I think we have to tell these people that up front.
Right, which we do. We make sure they know that.
Yeah.
If we're charging people for Lake Quantapug, then we should charge people for
Yeah.
Chaffinch Island. I mean, it's part of our system.
Yeah.
And it's part of our management of the facility.
But the biggest thing is, besides the funding, is if you have a policy and a form.
That's right.
Just like we do with the other ones, you have control if they're not abiding by what the rules
By
are.
the rules.
If you don't have something set
That's
up with a fee structure and the list of all the things you have to do and you can't do, you don't have any say. So that gives us protection, liability-wise, and control of what's taking place down there.
The only thing I see on here that probably we might want to ask for is, a deposit that we would refund back to them in case, if everything's fine, then we give them their money back. If there's extra work that we have to do to repair or replace, then it'd be prorated back to them.
Do we do that for any of our?
No, that's what I was looking at, I was reading this over and I didn't see it in there, so I was thinking that maybe something we might want to consider. That, a security deposit, that's what the phrase I'm looking to say.
Do other towns do that, like Madison or wherever? Not to say, just because they don't, we can't, but just
I
wonder
think
what the practice is.
Clinton might, because they don't do trash pickup anymore in their beach. I think they might have a deposit, and if the people don't leave their trash there, they've left with it or whatever, they get their money back. And I talked to my counterpart over there, and I've asked him, how does that work out? Because what if you have 4 different groups over the weekend, and there's some trash left behind, how do you know which one left it? And he said, well, their lifeguards kind of monitor that, but, okay, so what about the months when the lifeguards aren't there? So, I guess he seems to think it works over there, but we haven't done it that way.
Well, I will say that I've been at Quantapug many times in between my 2 jobs for lunch, and I've actually watched people drop their garbage off in the garbage can at Quantapug.
The license plate, let us know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen it a few times, and it's interesting to me because just to think of doing that is just.
Closer than bound for transportation.
Yeah,
We actually have gone after,
Yeah.
when we used to do it ourselves, we would go through trash bags and we would find out. In the former company we had doing the trash pickup, they would do that too. There were garbage bags in there. They'd be able to find out who was dumping their stuff. Yeah.
So I would suggest, Rick, that we create a form for Chaffinch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you bring it to us next month and we'll go over it. What do you think, guys?
Design it tailor-made
Yes.
to Chaffinch.
Right, a separate
Yeah,
form
it
for
has to be.
Chaffinch only.
Yeah.
Because if you start adding other things to this, it's confusing.
I would suggest maybe Moldwood Parks, we are getting requests for
And
weddings there
Rollwood
now
as well,
too, yeah.
yes.
And they would be about the same, because
Yeah.
the same, there's no parking
Right.
really there, there's
No.
no alcohol use there, and it's still open to the public.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
The fee for the small boats.
So by comparison, just to let you know, so Madison, they charge $90 for kayaks and sunfish, $140 for what they call a day sailor, and they actually have some 19 spots for catamarans, and those are $220. Clinton is $75 for any boat, whatever. Right now, ours is $80 for kayak, canoe, sunfish, $120 for non-residents. So, I guess, because we had this request last month, and we are gonna kind of create these other acts, they are bigger, and they take more space. Kayak takes this much, 30 inches probably. I don't think it's unreasonable to charge a higher fee for a wider boat. So maybe, up to 3 feet, maybe, we can come up with a number, whatever, but kayak, sunfish are, a certain fee. If boats are more than 4 feet wide, let's say, then maybe it's a different fee. And I think that's similar to what Madison does. So their rates are 90 and 140. We're 80, I would suggest, maybe we go 120 maybe for the wider ones. We're always a little less than Madison,
If you construct these, are we going to lose any kayak slots?
No,
No.
Okay.
no. There's be new spaces that there's availability
Okay.
where we can do it right now in a very inexpensive way, we can build them.
Makes sense.
So would we be 120 resident, 170 non? Looks like it's $50. Oh, no, I was looking at Dayfish. We're 80/20 right now, so it would be 120, 160? I was looking at Madison.
What do we charge
Yes.
for?
The only fee we have right now is $80, or $120 for
For
non-residents.
non-resident, right.
But I'm suggesting that for the wider boats, maybe it's $120. And
For
then
residents,
maybe
160.
or something for
Okay.
non-residents.
Yeah.
I was
That
just
make
adding
sense?
the 40, so if
Yeah.
it's 80/20,
Yeah.
120, it would be 120, 160. For
160, okay.
boats
If we did
over
just add the 40, yes.
44 feet.
So we can revise the form, we just sent them out to everybody.
That's all right.
But I think everyone we had before have the
Hell, they
smaller
had
ones
that smaller
anyway.
ones.
You're right.
So,
But it would be good to just let them know, because maybe they do have bigger boats now, or had and just didn't ever ask, because we don't have it.
And you say you
They
could
make-
make 6 slots for them?
yes,
So I would also put on there that maximum of 6, first come, first served. for
Yeah.
6.
Oh, yes.
Do we have anybody else besides Mary Ann Kowalski that had requested? Because we always have a waiting list, and
We had a
and kind
request
of,
for
that is like our
catamaran.
existing waiting list.
no, I checked on that, we had 3 or 4, I think sunfish, and those fit on, they did fit on the kayak racks. There wasn't any waiting list for any larger, so I think this is probably the first one. I think catamaran, I have one request, and we've had one over the years, and we've always said no. When I first came here, there was a catamaran down there, and they have like a canvas, you all know what a catamaran is? They had a canvas part, and the thing was ripped, I think kids were using it like a trampoline.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was right in the ground, everyone's jumping on it, and
Why not?
I said, that's a liability. I mean, that's an accident waiting to happen, so
Wasn't there one
we
parked
stopped.
at Daniel? Daniel
There was
Beach?
one,
Or was that something else? Yeah.
yeah, they were dragging one in there, I think, or something, yeah. So, with your approval, I just don't think we have a place to put catamarans down there.
No.
Madison has 19 spaces, we said, well, you try Madison, they have them,
Yeah,
but
really.
they have a place to put them, we just don't have a lot of room.
Take their boat launch.
You know, because we have the camp down there, and there's a lot of kids, and it's just, I think we're inviting a potential problem. Yeah,
That area doesn't warrant larger boats. It's just
Right.
too big, they're too
Yeah.
big.
And the boat ramp does.
And the boat ramp's right around the
Right.
corner.
Right.
They could use that,
Yeah.
so. It's not like there's no place to launch a catamaran.
Right. Okay, so we'll revise the form, we'll go with $120 for a 4-foot or wider, correct? And then for non-residents, $160.
Do we know the kayaks fit in that?
Yeah, kayaks, I think, I mean, I have a couple of them, they're about 30
They're not that
inches.
wide, yeah.
No, they're not very wide,
As long as we know that they were putting the right footage.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one last thing. Claire and I were talking about, if you take one of these and pass them down, some subcommittees that we needed to look at. And we left off one about bylaws.
The one that I've been pushing?
Yes, the one you've been pushing, bylaws. So, John is already working on our fields. Mark, you're working on technology. I've been working on the community center. Claire's our representative for land acquisition. And Claire and I said we would work on reimbursables, and we'll get that done pretty soon. That's going to be a very short.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for somebody who'd be willing to work on just reporting on the communications, somebody to take Sue's place on Jacobs, somebody maybe to start a part of a subcommittee with the disc golf and see how we're doing that, our 25th anniversary, and the bylaws. So I'm going to leave this with you to think on for next month.
What is your definition of communications?
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what, just to report on the communications that I usually sit here and read and stuff, just to let,
Oh, you mean letters?
the letters and things, yes.
In and outbound.
Yes, somebody else can report on that. It just saves me a little breath. And it involves the committee. We want to get the committee involved and stuff, so.
Yeah,
we think
everybody
that's
has a
important,
task.
that everybody gets involved.
There's one other new business
Okay,
item I forgot to
um,
mention. Tomorrow is the budget hearing, the
Yes.
budget, the first budget workshop hearing.
Yep.
And then there's another one on Thursday, but tomorrow it's at 7:30 here. Thursday will be at 7:30 also. This is where where the Board of Ed, Board of Selectmen present the
Right.
budget to the Board of Finance. And then, people in the community can comment on it. And then the workshops will be Thursday, and I think the other one's next week. I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday, but there's usually a second one.
So it's this Tuesday and this Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday, yeah.
Okay. do Thursdays,
Then if they have to go into the next week, they will,
You
or
have to
they-
nominate.
that's automatic?
Right.
Okay.
Thursday's
Okay.
automatic,
Um,
maybe not next week, if they, you know, if they resolve
If
it
they
Thursday,
resolve
yeah.
everything on Thursday, yeah.
Okay. All right, and one last thing, would you like to, this is Sue's last meeting with us.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't supposed to do that. 8 years, yes.
Like I've known you all my life. So we have a nice, it's a plaque at Sue Robbins, Parks and Rec Commission, 2010 to 2018, I hope we got those years right, and co-chair of Jacobs Beach Improvements.
Thank you,
And so,
thank you.
um,
That was not necessary, but thank you, I appreciate
Thank
it. It's really been an honor to work on this board and to get back to a town that I really deeply love. And I've
There you
worked,
go.
thank you. I've worked with a lot of people over the 8 years. You know, people have come and gone, terms have changed, and everyone that I've worked on, past and present, especially the group that sits here today, I'm very honored to have worked with all of you in a collaborative effort, and I wish everyone good luck. I will be watching from the other side. So my continued support of Parks and Rec is not ending just because my term is ending, but thank you. But thank you for this gift.
Like Jack, we'll call on you when we need you.
Yes, I'm around the corner. Yes, it's been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Well, somebody make it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Now we need to.
Are we off?